All right. Hello, Internet. Today, I will be finishing the language section of the Zig.guide, which I only have two things left. Vectors and imports, both very short pages. And then probably read up to readers and writers. That way, I have an idea of how allocators work, as well as uh, input output for user. And then I think I will be ready to make a shitty calculator. So, how much is left in this? Quite a bit. I'd say I'm probably halfway done. Um, yeah, vectors, magnitude and direction. Zig provides vector types for SIMD, single instruction, multiple data. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just, well, single instruction, multiple data. So in one instruction, um, you can operate on multiple things instead of having to do multiple operations. I admittedly am not that familiar, but that's the gist of it. Also, I think I'm gonna have this ready from now on. What is it? Excalibur? Oh god. Can I make that dark mode? Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So that way I can scribble. When I explain things, because admittedly, I'm also not an artist, but just having the ability to do a quick sketch is pretty helpful sometimes. Um, I don't know enough about SimD to do a sketch though, so um, these are not to be conflated with vectors in a mathematical sense or vectors like C++'s standard vector. For this, see array list. Okay. Vectors may be created using the type built-in and standard meta vector provides a shorthand for this. Vectors can only have child types of booleans, integers, floats, and pointers. That's important. What am I at? Like 115 down. Oh my god. Um, what am I doing? Okay. So, uh, vectors provide types for SIMD and are not to be confused with mathematical vectors or vectors like C++ standard vector. C++ is a thing that I kind of want to learn, but also I know it sucks because of how fucking insane they made the standard library code. So probably not something I'll look into, but maybe. Um, vectors may be created. Type built-in and std.meta.vector provides a shorthand. Now the thing I actually want to write down, vectors can only have child types of booleans, ints, floats, and pointers. Okay. Operations between vectors with the same child type and length can take place. These operations are performed on each of the values in the vector. Meta equal is used to check for equality. So I'm assuming by equality it means the same type and length, I guess, because type length is included as a type, like part of the type for Zig. So if you had an array of 4 elements and an array of 3 elements, those are different types. Um, I guess in that case, we'll say U8s. But 4 U8s in an array is a different type than 3 U8s in an array in Zig. So hopefully that's not the case, because having to have them be the same length might be a bit restrictive in a sense, but take place. These operations are performed on each of the values in the vector. Meta equal is used to check for equality. Also useful for things like structs. Okay. And now okay. So vector, vector, vector. Okay. Vectors. So here, wow, I say a lot. I should work on that. So here we're importing std.meta as meta, and then here probably gonna get mad about redeclaration. Let's test that first. No? Okay. What about sig run? Okay. So, we have one vector. It's 4 big, F32, so 32-bit float. And then equal to this, we have y, another 4 element F32 vector. It has these elements. Z is going to be x plus y, so these two added. The type here is inferred at comp time. Since we're not giving it this, and then try expect. So standard meta equal. We're going to compare Z to a 4-element vector of F32s, and then it's going to be these values, which 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 10 plus 10 is 0, 20 plus 0 is 20, minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So, I mean, we already saw that it passed, but that's just why it passed. What is expect again? Standard testing expect, okay. Vectors are indexable. So I know I should probably be typing this out for muscle memory or whatever. So vector indexing, we have x, it's a 4-element U8 vector. These are the values. 0, 0th place, 255. Yup. So that should pass if I go like that. 73 pass. That is correct. Okay. How do I get it to tell me what tests it's running? Zig, say what tests are running. I guess I can go to the docs. Zig test. See, mine doesn't do that. I know this is for 13 and I'm on 14, but oh well, it's not important. The built-in splat function may be used to construct a vector where all of the values are the same. Here we use it to multiply a vector by a scalar. Where all of the values. Gonna be honest, I don't really understand what that's trying to say. Oh, no, I do. So we have, what is it? Oh my god. 12.5. Trust me, that's what that says. Um, I'm gonna zoom out. 12.5, 37.5, and then 2.5. God, my mouse writing is atrocious. Um, so then we have y is equal to x times as vector 3 f32. So it's the same type. Splat 2. So what that means is, fuck. This is impressively bad. I apologize if anyone sees this. So splat 2 is going to be equal to a vector of 2, 2, 2. And so, because of this, now that it's a vector, actually, I guess because those are F32s, it would be 2.0, but that doesn't matter. And so now we can multiply those together to get the 25, 75, 5. So splat just takes whatever's in this and then makes that into a vector of all of the same stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna need to work on my explaining things, but I think just like based on the output, it's pretty simple what's going on. I should go here first. The built-in splat function can be used to make a vector where all of the values are the same. So we have test vector scalar that's going to be a vector 3 f32 12.5 37.5 2.5. Const y is equal to x times as so as, believe it or not, takes the first argument vector 3 f32. So that's the first argument. And in this case, it's kind of backwards, so S. So this will be the destination, so to speak, what we're converting to, and then splat 2 will be our source, so to speak. So we're taking splat2, which makes a vector, and then we're turning it into a vector 3f32. And then we're multiplying that. Okay. And then try expect meta, oh my god. Meta dot equal. So y should be of type vector 3f32 with the values 25, 70, and 5. What the heck? Yeah, so that should be fine. One test failed. Why did that fail? Meta y vector 3f32 25. It would help if I could do basic math. Yeah. Okay. So vectors do not have a when field like arrays, but may still be looped over. So const x is equal to vector for u8, values 255, 0, 255, 0. Const sum is equal to block. So this is a labeled block. It's a bit confusing to say because they called it block. However, this could be literally anything. So this could be like simmed, and that would still work. They chose to call it block in this case. Where? What? What am I? What am I on? Okay, I'm just gonna restart. So test vector looping const x is equal to vector for u8 values 255, 0, 255, 0, const sum is equal to labeled block var tmp u10 is equal to 0, var I u8 0. So while I is less than 4, we're going to increment I by 1. And then tmp will plus equal xi. Yeah. So what? Break to be okay with value temp. Try expect sum is equal to 510. So var temp. So temp. Okay. So temp is adding the values from x. So 255, 255, 510, I guess, and then 510 still. Okay. And then we're going to break and return to here and replace this with the value of temp, which will be the 510, and then put it in sum. Yeah, okay. That's not crazy. C. 1025. Hello world constant. Okay. So const C. We'll just go classic U32. Let's try that again. 75 things passed. Zig run, zig guide. Yeah. Okay. Finally, vectors coerce to their respective arrays. What does that mean? I don't know. Hopefully you guys can't hear my chair. It is exceptionally loud and creaky. Vectors coerce to their respective arrays. Okay. Oh, sorry. I just punched you. It is worth noting that explicit vectors may result in slower software if you do not make the right decisions. Compiler's auto-vectorizations is fairly smart as is. I actually just watched a video on compiler auto-vectorization like an hour and a half ago. That's kind of weird. Yeah. I'll just have that as... Yeah, I won't put that in code. I will put that up here as part of this. So, in example, const array for f32 is equal to vector for f32. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it collapses into an array, essentially. I wonder what the the difference is then really because arrays are arrays contiguous in memory. So yeah, what's the actual like by default contiguous. I know this is Python, but I'm just trying to find the theory. So a contiguous array um, yeah, okay. So I guess what that means in terms of I really wish scroll would zoom. Uh, anyway, so what that means for like how this part actually works. So you have uh, let's call this one the vector. 1, 2, oh my, 3, 4. So these are contiguous in memory. Vectors have to be contiguous in memory for the SIMD stuff to work. So in the actual memory, it would look something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas an array of 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I know. Incredible penmanship. Um, might look something like 1, 3, junk, 2, junk, junk, 4. So it might look something like that. Uh, I'm just amazed by how terrible I am at the drawing part. Also, I just realized my little guy was probably... Oh no, he wasn't. Okay. So, can I make that go away? So, I imagine this can go into this fairly easy, because here it doesn't matter if there's junk data. Like, it doesn't have to be contiguous. But I imagine it would be much harder to go from here to here, because then you have to find contiguous memory, right? So kind of a tangent, but Yeah. Um, so that's vectors. And then, oh my god. Okay. Imports, very small. The built-in import takes in a file and gives a struct type based on that file. All declarations labeled as public will end up in the struct type ready for use. Import standard is a special case in the compiler and gives access to the standard library. Other imports will take in a file path or package name. We have not talked about packages. I assume that's going to be in build system. No. Uh, I guess they just don't have a section, like a standalone section for packages. Um, yeah. So built-in import function takes in a file and gives a struct based on that file. All declarations labeled as pub. Delete that. End up in the struct type ready for use. And then so import standard is a special case in the compiler, which gives you access to the standard library. Other imports will take in a file path or package name. Fairly simple. Allocators. Yeah. I love how just awful I am at drawing. I'll just yeah. Okay. So um okay, it is about that time. So I will be taking a short break to get some water and move my legs. I suggest if anyone is there, they do the same. I will be back in less than 5 minutes. All right. Allocators. The Zig standard library provides a pattern for allocating memory, allows the programmer to choose precisely how memory allocations are done within. No allocations happen behind your back, blah, blah, blah. The most basic is the heap page allocator. Whenever this makes an allocation, it will ask your OS for entire pages of memory. An allocation of a single byte will likely reserve multiple kibibytes. What is a kibibyte? Equal to 1024 bytes. Um, Kilobyte. Okay. So it specifically is base 2 aligned. So it's basically just a kilobyte. Um uh, since asking the OS for memory requires a system call, it's also extremely inefficient for speed. Makes sense. That's not really important. This is is the heap page allocator. Which will ask your OS for entire pages of memory, entire allocation. Asking the OS. Yeah. Okay. So here we have allocators. Test allocation. Const allocator is equal to std.heap dot page allocator. So on operating systems that support memory mapping, this makes a syscall directly for every allocation and free. Otherwise, it falls back to the preferred singleton for the target. Don't ask me what a singleton is, because I have no idea. Constant memory is equal to tried allocator dot alloc u8 100 defer allocator dot free memory. Have I talked about defer? Yeah. Okay. Hello, sane dev guy. This is Zig. Um, Hence the stream title. Um, it's a little joke because zigzag are traditionally not straight. Um, so what is a singleton, if you wouldn't mind sharing? I'm pretty sure most things like that are computer science, not computer programming, so it should be a fairly universal description. Yeah, no, Zig is a language, not a library. So it's I think the actual thing they call it is Ziglang, like the Rustlang thing, but general purpose. So it's kind of like C, except it has um, quality of life stuff like vectors and generic structures and stuff that you don't have to build. Um, but it's not like Rust where you have to worry about borrow checking. You still have complete control over memory allocation. It's pretty cool. A singleton is when you have one single instance of a class in an entire project. Um, yeah, it is pretty interesting. So probably the coolest part is right here, the defer. So basically, how it works is it runs whatever is after defer um, once this scope of the program finishes running, if that makes sense. So here, I'll just do that so it makes more sense. So it's going to make an allocator. It's going to try to allocate. Try is basically just running this and then catching the error. And then you can put the defer right after the allocation so that you know what it's for. And you don't have to have like so you had like a million lines down here and you forgot to free the memory. You don't really have to worry about that because you put the free right after the allocation. So that's probably the coolest part. Yeah. Um, Defer is also not limited to allocation stuff. So you could also have it as like an entire block of its own code. So if I had, I don't know, const x u8 is equal to 0, x plus equals 10. This is a really stupid example, but um, so now if I were to do this, after these two ran and this test was done, it would do this stuff. So you can put anything in a defer. it's just mostly used for memory allocation stuff because it makes it super easy to see what's going on. The example I tend to use is to flush and close a file you opened for writing. Yeah. So you could say, open the file on this line, say on this line how you want to close the file, and then continue on with your file operations under it. So in my opinion, that's the coolest part about Zig. Oh yeah, it also has like total interop. I'm just gonna say interop because I can't say the full word with C. So on top of being its own language, it is completely mixable with C. So that's pretty cool. What are you familiar with as far as languages? C and C++ back in the day. C++. I don't know how I feel about that one, but I don't mind C. Try expect memory.len is equal to 100 and then what am I doing? Type of memory that should equal to a array of U8. Yeah. It also has built-in test stuff, so you don't have to like write your own test functionality. You can just say, hey, use this, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff for testing. It's as far as languages go, it's very low friction so far. Standard heap fixed buffer allocator that bad stream elements. Yeah. I just untimed you out. I will have to mess with the automod settings later. Um, yeah, I don't really know how to fix that at the moment. SQL, C Sharp, and JavaScript. Oh no. I'm so... Okay, so I'm currently in university for programming, and yeah, full stack web dev. It's so terrible. Like, I know I have exceptionally bad instructors, which is unfortunate, but just like the JavaScript and the whole front end stuff is so slapped together and like held together by spaghetti, it's horrible to work with. Um, so far, I don't mind SQL or C Sharp though. Although SQL has a bunch of weird stuff in it. All right, where was I? Yeah, yeah. SQL is weird. That's all I really have to say about that. It's not bad. It's just not really, it's like in a weird place between programming and not programming, if that makes sense. Um, the heap fixed buffer allocator allocates memory. Fixed buffer does not make any heap allocations. The heap buffer allocator does not make heap allocations. Yes, back to Zig. Um, this is useful when heap usage is not wanted. For example, when writing a kernel, it may be also considered blah, blah, blah. That's so weird. The heap fixed buffer allocator allocates memory without using the heap. So why is it called that? Um, yeah. Uh, I don't really need that. And we'll give you that's fine. So fixed buffer allocator var buffer do. Also, if you don't mind me asking, why did you decide to click on my stream? This is like purely for personal, so I can like know what people are looking at and try and game the system, if you will. Fixed buffer allocator dot init. First, the name. Really? What about the name drew you in? I kind of picked it as a joke. There's um there's a book called The Pragmatic Programmer or something. Um, the Pragmatic Programmer, or maybe it's Pragmatic Programming. Yeah, the Pragmatic Pro. So I knew about the book. I did not mean to literally copy the title, but so it's one of those kind of clean code type books, and I'm really not a huge fan of the clean code kind of stuff. So I thought it would be funny to have that name and like not clean code. Um, yeah, I haven't read the book. It might actually be super good. Um, what did you like about the book when it came out? My I also just generally like the definition of pragmatic. Pragmatic definition. Not sure how useful the book is these days. Had a bunch of common sense stuff that had not been written about 30 years ago. Yeah, fair enough. Um, Relating to matters of fact or practical affairs to the exclusion of, yeah, practical as opposed to idealistic. That was also one of the main reasons I chose it. I feel that's how I am. But yeah, it was also partly just a joke because I knew about the book. Um, uh, didn't we just do this one? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna. So this should still pass. Yeah. Um, leave you out of memory if it's run out of bytes. Okay, so this is just faster because it's not going on the heap. I see what's going on. Um, the arena allocator takes a child allocator and allows you to allocate many times and only free once. Here, .deinit is called on arena, which frees all memory. Using allocator.free in this example would be a no-op. Okay. Um, Using allocator.free on an arena allocator. Okay, so besides the name, what else? Was it, I think you mentioned something about the title. Did it happen to be anything about my little guy? I really like my little guy. So I'm hoping that's part of the draw factor, if you will. By my little guy, I mean this thing. Um, Bar Arena is equal to std.heap. I can't spell tonight. Arena allocator dot init std dot. I did it again. Fuck. Page allocator. Yeah. Okay. Defer arena.dinit. Is dinit? Ah, okay. I'm glad you like the little dude. Kind of sucks I was in the BRB screen, but yes. I will occasionally play a game of chess in my free time. So I figured, hey, why not do it when I need a little break from programming while I'm on stream? And then I can do a chess game against viewers or whatever. I figured that would be kind of fun. I take it from the fact that caught your attention. You also play chess? Anyone not straight white male? Yeah, I feel that. Arena.allocator. I'm also not great. I'm at I think I have a ranking of like 700 elo or something. I'm very much like beginner intermediate level. That's not what I wanted to put there. Yeah, so also another cool thing, since you're not familiar with Zig, this little underscore here, you can use that as a discard. 700 is about average, yeah. Well, average among people who actually play chess semi-regularly. But yeah. I don't know why I had to specify that. Yeah, so this little underscore here is a discard. So you can use it when you don't want to care about a value. Because in Zig, every value and every error has to be explicitly handled. So like, here, I'll go const x is equal to 10 just to show unused local constant, right? However, if I change that to that doesn't work. That should, yeah. So here, I'm just saying, hey, I know x exists. I don't need to do anything with it. I don't care about the value. And so the try things are short for What are they short for again? I think it's like try is a shortcut for, yeah, so for thing catch error, return error. Yeah, intentionally ignoring the return value. Yeah, that's exactly. And so the try returns the error. I'm saying, hey, I don't care about the error. So I'm not sure how many other languages have that. I think JavaScript has something similar, but it's another cool thing about Zig, in my opinion. Let's just make sure that actually works. I'm looking for your use for slices. Consider using create and destroy for single items. At comp time instead of runtime. Yeah. Oh, okay. You should check out Zig. Um have I done any comp time? Comp time. Yeah. Zig has a whole bunch of comp time stuff. If that's your thing, I would highly recommend checking it out just for that. So you can explicitly say what things you want to do at comp time. By default, every type has to be like every variable has to have a comp time known type and value unless it's used with an allocator, which I think is standard behavior, but you can explicitly have things that are comp time as opposed to being inferred as comp time. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I'm good enough at programming to really take advantage of that, but yeah. Allocator create slash destroy. Const byte try std dot heap dot page allocator dot create u8 defer standard dot heap. Oh my god, I can't spell heap. Page allocator dot destroy byte dot is equal to so what's going on with this line, because the syntax is not quite whoa. Not quite the same as something like C. So here, if I go dot create, it says it returns a pointer to undefined memory. So in Zig, the variable name dot star is how you dereference. No links. Oh my god. Okay. Never mind. That's not something I have to worry about moderator wise. Um, but yeah, so you do variable name dot star instead of star variable name to dereference. Um, Actually, since it has C interop, I think you can do both. No. So you have to specifically do that one. Yeah, that still worked. Okay. Um, Create and destroy for single items. Yep. Standard library has a general purpose allocator. This is a safe allocator that can prevent double free, use after free, and detect leaks. That is pretty cool. Safety checks and thread safety can be turned off via configuration struct. The Zig's general purpose allocator is designed for safety over performance, but may still be many times faster than page allocator, depending on the size, obviously, because the page allocator reserves entire pages. So it might actually be faster to use this one in large allocations, but this one's just safer. So, um, what's a memory allocator anyway? Okay, I don't want to watch that. I am going to save that for later, though. For high performance, but very few safety features, heap C allocator may be considered. So this is just malloc. Yeah, it's just malloc. Um, so standard library general purpose allocator, da 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 da. GPA is equal to standard.heap. General purpose allocator. Appreciated. Cool. What is the replacement? Learn language reference. 14.1 allocator. Yeah. Fix arena. Okay, so it says depreciated, but it's still here. That's fine. You can also make your own. I'm not going to be doing that. General purpose allocator. That is kind of scary syntax there, but basically just it takes an anonymous struct and returns an anonymous struct. So it's nothing really crazy when you look at it, but it is very strange syntax. It's like what are they? Arrow functions in JavaScript. Const dnit status is equal to GPA dot. So that must be a built-in function for the struct. Leaving blank for the default. I imagine when you pass in stuff, you pass it into these curly braces and not these ones, but who knows? If dnit status equals dot leak. So if there's a memory leak, which should be false, we're going to catch a panic. Let's say test fail. Yeah, it's nothing really crazy when you think about it, especially since this can just have values, right? So it's just it looks kind of weird when it's empty. I'll just copy that because I don't feel like typing. So and yeah, so this is an actual example of the defer being used for anything. You can make a defer block. Can you actually see that? I guess you can see it on my code side, but my guy is a little in the way. Const bytes is equal to try allocator dot alloc u8 100 boom defer allocator dot free bytes. So that should work. Yeah. And then yeah, again, if you want speed, use C allocator, but that's just malloc, which is very bad if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, array list, file system, readers and writers. Okay. So the plan is after I read readers and writers, wow, I'm gonna make a little calculator thing. I did try to do that after my first stream, where I had read up to functions, and I made a very terrible calculator where ignore my horrible writing for a moment. So the way it worked was you passed a number. So yeah, mini projects. I love them, except when they don't work. Um, so if you wanted to do 1 plus 1 in my original version of the calculator, which I no longer have, I think I have the recording of it, so I might remake it just so I have the archive of it or whatever. But to do this in my program, 1 was addition, 2 was subtraction, 3 was multiplication, and 4 was division. So you had to go 1, 1, 1. As the command line arguments. You had to run it with the arguments as well. So it was just overall a terrible experience. Never do anything like that. Array list. The standard array list is commonly used throughout SIG and serves as a buffer that can change in size. The array list of type is similar to C++'s vector and Rust's vector T. Kind of weird that they would call it an array list, but the dinit method frees all of the array list memory, can be read from and written to via its slice field dot items. Okay, so this is gonna work a lot like how it does in Java, probably. The usage of the testing allocator, special allocator that only works on tests and can detect memory leaks. Pretty cool. Okay. Standard array list. Vector T. The dinit method frees all of the memory. Memory can be read and written from a slice. Yeah. Okay. So I actually need to go up here. Const equal is equal to standard mem dot equal, if I could spell. Const array list is equal to standard dot. Yeah, so it has a whole bunch of built-in data structures and stuff, as you can see, which is pretty handy. As a person learning, I'm not sure how I feel about it because it kind of takes away a lot of the value of figuring out how to make that thing yourself. But in terms of just productivity, it is very nice to not have to write it yourself. Test allocator, standard testing dot allocator. Okay. Importantly, you don't have to debug it yourself. Presumably. Another thing about that is you're just assuming the people who did this made it correctly. Which, I mean, they did, because it's all very well documented stuff, but yeah. But I do agree, not having to debug is pretty nice. Array list, we give it a type of U8 with the test allocator. Defer list.dnit. Wow, I didn't even count that, so that's pretty cool. Pen slice world world, and then try expect equal list.items, which is how you access the slice. And then what? List.append slice. In case you're curious and it hasn't been explained yet, this equal works much like JavaScript's triple equality. It it only returns true if they have the same value and the same type, which is pretty important. If you were curious. Duplicate name. Huh? What? Okay, I'm actually just gonna move this to the top. And that is why. So much for don't have to debug it myself. Testing allocator detects leaks. Yeah. Dot items. So I imagine if I wanted to, instead of dot items, I could do no? I don't remember how to do the slicing. Slices, blah blah blah. Syntax. Okay, it comes after. So instead of that, I could probably do that to go from start to end, which will do the same thing. Non-array type. Never mind. That's good to know, though. Yeah, slicing is is an interesting one. It's not something you use very much when you don't really know how to program. And also when you think of how people think, um, we think in, that's not what I wanted to. We think in blocks, right? So when I think of the word try, I think of it as the whole, not as TRY, whereas a slice of T and then a slice of RY or something like that, right? So it's also just like counterintuitive to how people think, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, that's why I also have the documentation downloaded and available whenever. I think that's called chunking. Perhaps. Sounds reasonable enough that I will agree. Um, open a file, write to it, and then read from it. Oh boy. File operations. Test. Fail to type again. Create file, write, seek to read. Current working directory dot create file creates, opens, or overwrites with write access. So this is going to be um, sorry. So create file is going to be similar to how open file name. We're also giving it read permission, so that's going to be the C equivalent of what this line is, I'm pretty sure. Or no, not open. F open. So I think that's what this is doing. Defer file dot close. Try file dot write all. Hello file. U8. Oh yeah, so another thing with everything having to be like the type and value identifiable at comp time is you can't leave things undeclared. So if you want to have an uninitialized variable, you have to put undefined. So that's why we're doing that. At least 10 computer languages. That's quite a few. That's at least one of every finger. Familiar with similar but different ways to do things. Yeah. R buffer try. 35 years of programming does that. Yeah. crazy. 35 years. And you ended up as a full stack web developer. That's kind of sad. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people out there in that same situation, but like, as an industry, it's a good job with good people. Really? I guess I guess the full stack part means you do the back end as well, which is the interesting things. So I guess it wouldn't be that bad. It just sucks that the industry is focusing so hard on web app shit, you know? But I mean, hey, if you like it, you like it, so that's good. I do all of it. I tend to work with small companies. Yeah, fair enough. I I currently don't work with anyone. I'm still going to school for it. I'm variety keeps me interested. Variety as in like the different projects you do, or like the 25 JavaScript frameworks that come out every day. As in not doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I can see that. That would be nice. Uh, buffer. Yeah, so this is using a slice to go from, I mean, I'm sure you know what this is doing, but from the start to however many we read, um, bytes read, and we want it to equal hello file. I really need to get better at talking and typing at the same time. Otherwise, this is going to take forever. Uh, function standard file system open file absolute and similar absolute functions exist. We will not test them here. Thank you. What does this mean? Without attempting to create a new file based on the absolute path. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. We can get various information by using stat, inode, and mode. Inode, interesting. Um, f dot do 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 do. When the enum type is known from context, it can be omitted. So we can compare stat.kind to .file instead of kind.file. Good to know. Okay. Test file stat. Const file equals try std.fs. Wait, don't you ever get like a little burnt out from programming? 35 years of programming, and you do it as your day job, and then you get home from work and you watch someone program. I mean, I'm streaming programming, so like, and I watch people program on stream as well. So I get it, but like, I don't know if I would do that if I had a job in programming, if that makes sense. For file close. Oh, that's that. Try stat that says is equal to 0. There's a balance. Yeah. Oh my god, it's only Tuesday. Um, kind is equal to dot file. So less than or equal to standard dot time dot nano timestamp. Minute timestamp. A time. What would A time be? Uh, this might be a random question, but I'm always curious about what other programmers use. Are you a Windows, a Mac OS, a Linux kind of person? What WSL maybe? What's your preferred environment? Iterator. Work uses Windows, so I use it at home. Yeah. Um, that's fair enough. I have a Windows virtual machine on my computer since I have to use Windows at school, so kind of in the same boat. I cannot spell. Dot iterate equals true. Defer. editor dot close cd.fs dot current working directory dot delete tree. More listening than watching. Most people do that in this category. Yeah. It's what you're telling me watching someone type isn't very interesting? No, I get it. I also mostly just use it as background noise. Sometimes I do like legitimately watch the people, but sometimes not. Iterate while attach entry entry dot kind is equal to dot file count plus equals 1. Maker. Current working directory dot make. All tests passed. Yep. Make directories and iterate over their content. Okay, readers and writers. The last thing until I can make a bad calculator. So standard IO writer and standard IO reader provide standard ways of making use of IO. ArrayList U8 has a writer method which gives us a writer. IO writer usage. U8.init tests allocator. Defer list.init. Const bytes. Written is equal to try list. Writer dot write hello world. Try expect bytes. Here is equal to 12. Try expect equal list. Hello. That wasn't very helpful. I'm gonna do a quick print on this just so I can see that it's actually doing something. Invalid format for string. Okay. Array lists, items. Not at all what I thought what I thought that would print, but there's the hello world. So yeah, let's see if I can quantity reference. Yeah, I don't know how to make that actually print the words. I should probably figure out how to do that, but actually, that should do it, right? And then there we go. Okay. Um Oh my god. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break and get some water. I should only be like a minute or two, but ciao. All right. So, here we will use a reader to copy the file's contents into an allocated buffer. The second argument of read all alloc is the maximum size that it may allocate. If the file is larger than this, it will return error.stream too long. Standard file system, current working directory dot create file, junk file 3 dot text dot read is equal to true. Defer file dot close, try file dot write all, message, try file dot seek to the start, const contents is equal to try file dot reader dot read all alloc test allocator message dot when for test allocator dot free contents try expect equal u8 contents do you watch any other programming streamers? Do you have any recommendations? None that music, that's fine. What would I be interested in? Um, I don't know. Anything programming related, probably. I find it quite fascinating as just like a whole um genre, I guess. Like the whole idea of it is very interesting to me. Oh, more co-working than watching someone work. Yeah. Speaking of which, here I'll make a few lines. How do you how do you like this syntax? Um, I'll let you try and figure out what this means if you want. From the exclamation point to the U8. exclamation point is usually not. In this case, that's not at all what it means. Perhaps if not undefined. It's kind of close, actually. Square brackets is an array. Yep. Const maybe treats the array values as constant, meaning you can't change them. Yes. Although I think in this case, it's a constant pointer, so it will always point to this array, but the array values can change. If I remember correctly on how that works. Really, I don't have any notes on that. Okay. Var line is never mutated. That's fine. Been a few years since you dealt with const. Yeah. So I think to do what you were saying, it would have to be a const array const. I know I read it somewhere. That was a while ago, but yeah, I think it's in here. It is not in there. Pointers, nope. Oh well. Okay, do you have a final guess, or do you want me to just tell you? Go for it. Okay, so this exclamation point does not mean not. This means it can return an error or whatever is after it. It's called an error union. So you can have some error. Okay, let's function arguments, so it can return some error, or in this case we'll just go U8. That so that's what the exclamation point means. When you leave the left side blank, That means it can be any error. So just if it can return any error available to the system, or whatever comes after the exclamation point. The question mark means that this argument is optional. So you can pass a constant array of U8, which in this case is just going to be a string, or you can pass nothing. And that's basically what this part is. So it's going to read whatever is in the buffer, and then that gets saved into line, and you return that. So that will be the constant array U8 part. And then if you pass nothing, because you can pass nothing, or else return null. So that's what that means. So it's basically just, it can be an error, it can be nothing, or it can be this. It's pretty cool. Falanier. Error, nothing, or this, yeah. I will check out this Falanier later. They do a really good job of streaming. What do they stream? Read until next line. Const std out equal to std std paste. Std out dot write all. I have no idea what the point of this syntax is. That's kind of weird. Var buffer. Undefined. Equal to the try next. Standard in dot reader. Put that in the buffer. Or not. Yeah. Okay. IO gets standard in. in capital I. Standard IO writer type consists of a context type. He makes games for Twitch streamers in Godot. Interesting. I will definitely check them out. Yeah, I always think I want to do game dev, and then I remember that I'm not creative, and then I just don't do game dev. Context type, error set, and a write function takes in the context type and a byte slice. The write function must also return an error union of the writer types, error set, and the number of bytes written. That is important. Um, Defined items. Oh my god. Auto mod, why? Um, you should be untimed out right now. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed after I finish this page. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for chatting. I hope you have a good sleep. I'm gonna check out the streamer at some point. thank you for the follow. Also, I'm gonna fix my Stream Elements mod so it doesn't time everyone out all the time. Where? That's right. Okay. Android. Pointer to a data constitutes. Oh, my chair. No. Okay. Writer r bytes equal to my byte list. Whoa. Hello, writer. Equal U8 bytes dot items. Hello, writer. All passed. Okay. With that, I am finally ready to make a calculator. However, it is past midnight, so I am going to go to bed. Thank you to anyone that showed up, even if you're lurking, that's fine. I do have a tentative schedule on my profile, but yeah. Until next time, I guess. Bye bye.